Following will be a reading from Bhaktivinode Thakurs Tattva Viveka. Pratamu Manubhav, first realization. Glory to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in whose form rest eternity, knowledge, bliss, and the taste of nectar. By his mercy this book, which bears the title Satchit Ananda Nubhuti, directly seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in whose form rest eternity, knowledge, and bliss, has been written. Who am I? What is this world? What relation have I with this world? To learn the truth, a soul in this material world will always ask himself these questions. Because of their different natures, those who ask these questions attain a variety of answers. Only a soul situated in his original spiritual form attains the true answers. Please know that there are a great variety of answers, and there is also one true answer. First we will consider the great variety of answers, and then we will consider the one true answer. Some philosophers say that matter is everything, matter is self-manifest, matter is eternal, and any conception of God is a senseless lie. They say no one has ever proved God's existence, God is created by men, and talk of a spiritual world is a lie imagined by rascals. They say the inert material elements combine to create conscious life. In this way, conscious life is manifest in inert matter. They say that when it dies, conscious life ceases to exist, and of this they have no doubt. They say there is no soul that can be reborn in this world, or liberated from it by attaining spiritual knowledge. The materialists say these words: ordinary morality should be followed, for then immoral activities are stopped. The wise say that the eternal rules of morality are spontaneously manifested from human nature. One should diligently try to attain material happiness, for material happiness is the true goal of life. After a person dies, the activities he performed during his life will still bring results to other living entities, to persons who had a relationship with him. Regardless of when or by whom they were performed, good material activities are never lost. They have a wonderful power to elevate everyone. Some think existence is suffering, and happiness comes when existence stops. Because the material body brings so many sufferings, they think they will become happy by ceasing to exist. Some say Maya, illusion, is a subtle, eternal potency, the mother of spirit and matter, and the creator of the worlds. Some say ideas alone exist, there is no God, there is no world, there are no living entities, ideas are eternal and of great variety, nothing else exists. Blinded by illusion, some philosophers devoted to the tricks of logic say, whatever is said to be true will one day be learned to be untrue, therefore truth is always temporary and relative. From the earliest times, many different varieties of atheistic philosophy have been preached in different countries and languages. Mixed with karma, fruitive work, and jnana, philosophical speculation, material logic places a great variety of ideas in human society. Thus logic brings many material results in this world of birth and death. By employing the logic that is born from matter, one cannot go above matter. Material logic speaks only nonsense. Material logic talks nonsense. Sometimes at the end, to bring perfection to the soul, frightened material logic accepts the existence of God. Bewildered by matter and talking wildly, material logic sometimes declares that there are 2, 3, or many gods. There is no true logic separate from the natural knowledge of the soul. How, turning away from that natural knowledge, can one understand the supreme truth? Some accept the philosophy of oneness, breaking through the barriers of the gross material world, resting in the subtle material world, and pretending to remain in a trance of meditation. They take shelter of yoga. Some philosophers say God created this world to give the individual souls an opportunity either to enjoy sense pleasures or to accumulate piety. Some philosophers say that because of the first living entity's sin, all the other living entities are imprisoned in the material world. Later, punishing himself for their sins, God delivers the living entities. These philosophers say that the living entity's life begins at birth and ends with death. After death, he is not born again. After death, he attains the results of his actions in that one lifetime. These philosophers say that by cultivating fruitive work and speculative philosophy, one should make improvements in the material world, and in this way please God. Some other philosophers say that God has no form. He is all-pervading. Still, following the rules of Scripture, many worship him, bow before him, pray to him, and serve him in many ways. Please know that this philosophy is wrong in every way. It thinks God has many faults. It is of small help to the individual spirit souls. Some other philosophers say that spirit, matter, God, and everything else are all eternal, impersonal Brahman, and nothing exists but this Brahman. They say the variety-filled material world is in truth a transformation of Brahman. It is not different from Brahman. Some other philosophers say this material world is born from the soul's thoughts. In truth, the individual soul is not different from God. The individual soul is himself the God of all gods. The truth lies somewhere in this network of conflicting philosophies. Directly and indirectly, the non-dual Brahman is understood there. Vidyanubhav, second realization. To Lord Chaitanya, whose transcendental form is filled with eternity, knowledge, and bliss, who is the shelter of transcendental nectar and bliss, who is the master of all spiritual and material potencies, and who is the purifier of the Kali Yuga, I offer my respectful obeisances. When he is situated in his original nature, by his own power, the soul gives the correct answers to these spiritual questions, answers free from the touch of matter. God is one. God has many transcendental powers. The individual spirit souls and the material worlds are all manifested from God's powers. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is like the sun. The many individual souls are like particles of light that come from that Bhagavan sun. Each individual soul has an eternal spiritual form, like the form of Bhagavan. Each individual soul is by nature spiritual and blissful. His nature is to love Bhagavan. He is like a son entitled to a share in his father's, Bhagavan's, property. By the shadow of Bhagavan's spiritual potency, the entire material world is created. In that material world wander the individual souls who have turned their faces away from Bhagavan. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is eternally different from the individual souls, and from matter. However, the souls and matter are not different from Bhagavan. This is a great secret. When the souls caught in the trap of material life renounce their attachment to matter, and then carefully engage in spiritual activities, eventually they attain the Supreme. The Supreme Truth, who is different and non-different from everything, cannot be known by the material mind. Only the pure souls who taste the sweet nectar of taking shelter of Lord Chaitanya's feet have the power to know the Supreme Truth. The Supreme Truth is spiritual. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is spiritual. The individual spirit soul is a tiny particle of spirit. Great variety exists in the realm of spirit. Spirit is by nature full of bliss. By performing spiritual activities, one becomes blissful. Spirit is different from matter. Spirit always has free will. Even when it enters the world of illusions, spirit never loses its nature. Please know that the material world is meaningless and illusory. It is an ancient prison house for the souls who have turned their faces from the Supreme Lord. The time, place, and everything else of the material world is a grotesque perversion created by Maya. In the world far away from Maya's world, everything is made of spirit. The Supreme Truth, spiritual potency, has three natures. its own nature, the nature of the individual spirit souls, and the nature of Maya. Even though he may still reside in the material world, an individual soul intent on reviving his original spiritual nature is very fortunate. In the end, he regains his original spiritual nature. Thank you.